So we are now in phase 2, 3, 5, I don't know. So some phase within the Jeffrey Epstein cover-up that has been going on for 25 years at this point. And in this phase, Donald Trump has realized he can no longer get away with pretending that this scandal doesn't exist, that this is a Democratic hoax, and that everyone should just look somewhere else. And he's decided, if you can't beat him, join him.
You should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard, the former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list.
Respectfully, Mr. President, are you fucking kidding me? You'll give me a list? You'll give us a list? We went from there is no list, it's a complete hoax, it's a Democratic hoax, there's no list, to, I'll give you a list. You wanted a list of the people who were Jeffrey Epstein? Oh, yeah, I got that all up here. I got the names. What world are we living in? And what's so crazy about this, just to really round it out, is that you have a current president of the United States who is now heavily implicated or inextricably linked to an incredibly notorious going, I'm not the president you want. It's the other guy. It was the other president. He was the problem, which feels like so insane. So insane. And now, of course, this is all so transparent. Like setting that aside, Donald Trump's motivation is clearly to just get anyone talking about anything but him and Jeffrey Epstein. Threatening to denaturalize Rosie O'Donnell didn't do it. So now he's going, well, let me at least try and get the attention on some other names. Now, this comes against the backdrop where Donald Trump's personal attorney and the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche, went and had a closed-door private meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell, seemingly rushing to have a conversation with her before she could speak to Congress. And all of this creates the appearance of a dynamic in which Donald Trump is now starting to float names that he will later have Ghislaine Maxwell say publicly in order to set those people up to be the fall guys for everything that has happened with Jeffrey Epstein, leaving him completely unscathed yet again. Now, I don't know that that's what's going on, but it does seem like that. And what's crazy about it is just the brazenness of it, which I guess is what happens when you've managed to get away with it for 30 years. Because I'm not saying that Bill Clinton is innocent, but I am saying that the problem with the Epstein story is not merely the horrific crimes that were committed. It is the way in which so many seemingly rich and powerful people may be implicated and have never been held accountable. And that isn't solved by having the political enemies of the current president thrown in jail. It's solved by having everyone who was involved held accountable, which at this point it just seems unbelievably unlikely, because they don't think we're stupid. They think we're powerless. And they think Congress is powerless too. And let's be honest, they're right. And that is what we are talking about today. My name is Carly Riley. This is the Carly P. Riley Show. I look at what powerful people are saying and I ask, what is going on? Like, how did we end up here? If you would like to join me twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays while I dissect what powerful people are saying and doing, and we talk about it and break it down, would love to have you subscribe to the channel or comment below or share this episode if you get some value out of it. And with that, the only person in this entire story whose motivations are more obviously transparent than the president of the United States is Ghislaine Maxwell. She is facing 20 years in prison for her role trafficking children to Jeffrey Epstein. And so she will do or say anything at this point to get a presidential pardon, a commutation of her sentence, anything to prevent her from spending the next 20 years and potentially dying in prison, which is why she was no doubt eager to meet with the president's personal attorney, Todd Blanche, while she seeks a presidential pardon. But is there a way to describe what went down between the meeting between Ghislaine Maxwell and Todd Blanche in a way that makes it sound like this trafficker is in some way heroic?
She literally answered every question. She didn't say, you know what, don't ask me that. I'm not going to talk about this person. She was asked maybe about 100 different people. She answered questions about everybody. And she didn't hold anything back.
No shit! Well, why would she hold anything back? She was reportedly granted limited immunity to have a conversation with, again, the president's attorney, and she wants a presidential pardon. None of us were worried about whether or not Ghislaine Maxwell is or would lie to the president's attorney while she has limited immunity. We're worried about her lying to us, to us, because there is every incentive in the world by all of the powerful people currently in charge to set up some sort of quid pro quo in which Ghislaine Maxwell implicates Bill Clinton and, I don't know, pulling a name out of my hat, Larry Summers for sex crimes, while conveniently leaving Trump's name off the list. Now, of course, her attorney says, Ghislaine wouldn't do that. Ghislaine would never lie. There would be consequences if Ghislaine lied.
If she lies, they could charge her with lying.
Yeah, but the problem is, who? Who could charge her with lying? Because if Ghislaine Maxwell lied to Congress, for example, during her testimony, the DOJ would be the one to prosecute her for that. The DOJ run by Pam Bondi at Donald Trump's very close direction. Which is to say nothing of the fact that even if she was, for some reason, prosecuted for this, she could be pardoned by Donald Trump, which is the thing she's seeking to begin with in the closed-door meeting with his personal attorney. I mean, the whole thing is just, it's beyond farce. And yet, it gets worse. It gets worse. Because there's nothing we can apparently do about any of this. Listen to Brian Tyler Cohen make the point I just made, but he's putting it to a Democratic ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, and listen to that ranking member, Robert Garcia's answer, and let me know if you feel better.
Is there some concern, though, that there's no incentive for Ghislaine Maxwell to tell the truth? Ultimately, if perjury charges were referred to the DOJ, it's up to Pam Bondi and by extension Donald Trump to actually enforce that. And even if they did enforce it, Trump still has the pardon power, which he's shown he's perfectly willing to abuse. And so what's the incentive here for Ghislaine Maxwell to be able to tell the truth, knowing that the very people who she may be striking a deal with right now are also the people who would be charged with enforcing any perjury charges against her?
Well, I think what the concern for her should be that she would be lying to the United States Congress.
We are so fucked. Yeah, no, I can imagine her conflict on that. That's a tough one, I'm sure, for Ghislaine Maxwell. I wonder if this 2-decade-long child trafficker whose father was like a triple agent for intelligence agencies, whose boyfriend was probably murdered in prison and was, by the way, the file she was tracking to. I wonder if she'll have a hard time lying to Congress. Congress can't stand up for a budget. They can't stand up to accountants. You think this woman is afraid of Congress? You think she's afraid of lying to you, Robert Garcia? Oh my God. Look, what do we have? Like, what do we have at our disposal to keep her honest?
And so she's going to have to weigh all of that herself and know that we're going to have documents.
We're so fucked. Documents? What else? What else do we have?
And I'm hopeful that she realizes that she has done horrific actions, crimes to so many people, and she should, I hope, want to make amends to all of that.
I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. We're appealing to the conscience of the the child. You know what really sucks? You know what really sucks about this? I don't think Robert Garcia has sexually assaulted anyone. I know nothing about this man, but based on everything about him, I don't think he's a sexual assaulter. And he will also never be president. Never. And it feels like this is the crossroads we're at. We get charismatic we had two charismatic pedophilic presidents, seemingly. Again, allegedly, who knows? Or Robert Garcia, who will never win a presidential election, but probably has never sexually assaulted anyone. And look, I don't want to convict anyone before there's been actual convictions. And this is why we would need trials and juries and courts and attorneys and all the things that we're not going to get, because the person in charge is at best going to put guilty people he doesn't like behind bars for this, and at worst is going to put innocent people he doesn't like behind bars for this as some sort of weird fucking setup. But what's definitely not going to happen is that he, if he was in fact involved, is going to have any accountability. And it's just sort of an unimaginable position to be in as the American public. And yet it is the one that both we and Congress apparently find ourselves in, which again is that they don't think we're stupid. They know we're powerless, which is how this has gone on for 25 years.